Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to talk about how I developed customized email list recommendations for the Romance Your TBR podcast. Hi, I'm Olivia. I know a lot of random things about a lot of random things, and I'm just trying to share the knowledge and help other businesses. So, here's a little bit about the Romance Your TBR podcast. Book besties Caroline and Hannah record their completely unhinged discussions about romance novels, primarily historical romance novels, and they have weekly episodes on Fridays and every other Tuesdays. I think they launched their podcast sometime around October of 2022. I'm a huge fan. I listen to every episode. The commentary is great. It's a lot of fun. So here's my process for developing customized recommendations for how they could start their email list. First up, I studied the content that was already being shared regularly. I'm an active listener of their podcast. I follow the Instagram account. I follow each Caroline and Hannah's Instagram accounts. So that was like the internet sleuthing part of figuring out, well, what's their business all about or what's their podcast all about? I sent them a questionnaire to figure out their goals for the email list and their design preferences. Like, what do you want to do with your email list? Do you want to just keep in touch? Do you want to monetize? Do you want sponsors? Are you trying to sell something? Those are all the questions that I ask. I also did some internet sleuthing for social media stats, like how many Instagram followers they have, how many um, TikTok followers they have, things like that. That gives me a good idea of how many people I think they'd be able to convert onto their email list and gives me some idea of which email platform provider I could recommend, especially since some of these platforms cost money. If you don't think you're going to have a large amount of people on your email list right away, I would probably recommend starting with a free option so that you can test it out and see how you like sending emails before you invest money in an email marketing platform. Then I wrote out all my recommendations, put it together in a visually appealing guide. It turned out to be somewhere around 10 to 12 pages. And then I emailed it out and sent it off to Caroline and Hannah. So first up, they had some really sweet first impressions. I sent them an Instagram DM just to let them know, hey, emailed over the PDF guide. Let me know what you think, if you need any clarification. And then they messaged back saying, oh, great, we're going to look at it. We'll check it out over the weekend. And then just first impressions. Both took a look at it. Looks amazing. Can already tell it's going to be super helpful. So that was kind of the goal, to have very personalized recommendations so that people who don't have like the first step or are completely overwhelmed with what you should do with your email list, you kind of have some direction of where to go. A few days later, I got an email back from Caroline with, again, really nice words. So Caroline says, this guide has been so helpful. You included so much I wouldn't have even considered, and it was really easy to follow for someone who had no idea where to start with a newsletter. Also, it's so pretty and aesthetically pleasing, which we both loved and found helpful in terms of being easy to understand. We're using pretty much all of your suggestions. And so, some of the things when I put together that customized guide was having really clear sections and headers. So, part of the design is to separate it out into step one, step two, step three, etc. And so the Romance Your TBR podcast was able to implement all of these recommendations within a couple weeks, in between their day job and living their lives. And what I recommended was for them to start a Substack to collect email addresses, because they're running a weekly podcast and sending out regular updates. I don't think any sort of automations are necessary. They're not monetized yet. They don't have any sponsors. They're not selling a product. So something simple and free was really what I was going for. So they started a Substack channel, and then they're collecting email addresses from there, which I highly recommend you subscribe to. It's romanceyourtbr.substack.com. I'll put the link below. But they were able to kick that off pretty quickly, and now they've got a place to store show notes. They have extra bonus features like an index of all of the books that they've talked about on their podcast episodes. They also have really fun book bingo cards with different romance tropes. So, all of these things they could put behind this email address subscription so that people can get these kind of bonus features for their podcast. Where should you start? Well, you can start with a mini guide comparing my 3 favorite email marketing platforms, which are MailerLite, Flowdesk, and Substack. So I have this really nice comparison chart and a description of all 3 of those platforms. You can get that in the link in the description box. Also at this address, bit.ly/email mini. And so that's a great place to start. If you are looking for customized email list recommendations, I do offer that as a service as well. So I'll put that link below so that you can learn a little bit more. But hopefully you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.